Blue collar, white collar, black professors, white scholars, politicians, Dalai Lamas. Everybody in the whole wide world need hope if I be honest. I'm in that number.
Hey, good day. Welcome to the Raw Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? We got a lot of stuff to cover today. Today, we're going to talk about Joe Biden and this crime bill and the mandatory sentences and a whole bunch of stuff that's in that bill that's still affecting communities of color to this day. And also, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's practice what you preach, brother, how he really went down hard on calling young black kids super predators and the father's not at home and doing the right thing about his family. But yet at the same time, Joe Biden has his own problem with family and drugs. Stay tuned for that. And last but not least, we're going to talk about a good story of two men who were released from jail today, been convicted, been in prison for over 40 years, but they had their releases overturned, and how this is going on all across the United States. And we need to do whatever we can to overturn the crime bill and fix this disastrous bill and make something positive out of this mess that Biden created. I'm Robert Brown. Let's get into it. Last, we've been going over some of Joe Biden's mess. That's right, and what I'm going to do today is go over some Joe Biden's biggest mess. They say what's good for the goose is always good for the gander. And so let's go take a look at this goose called Joe Biden.
Wow! Looky.
Joe Biden, the author and finisher of the crime bill, known provocateur and vocalist for the drug war, the man who called George H.W. Bush out for being weak on crime and weak about this drug war. His own son claims blew money on hookers and drugs. That's right. Hunter Biden blew money on hookers and drugs. All right, so this coming from page 6, but I got other articles to back that up. Former President Joe Biden's surviving son, Hunter, has just dumped his wife for his late brother's widow. Oh, my God. Oh, that's sick. So like I said, Hunter Biden, what date is this? This might be old because I heard they broke up. Yeah, this is 2017. But the point, it's not the date. It's who it is. Hunter Biden. This is fact. Hunter Biden began to console. This is true. Hunter Biden, son of Joe Biden, has a weird way of consoling his brother's wife. Literally took it to biblical proportion, to the point that he fell in love with her and seek to marry her. Joe Biden's son trying to marry, Beau Biden's wife. Here we are with Joe Biden, Mr. Tough on crime, Mr. Tough on drugs, own son is being accused. Hunter has squandered his family money on hookers, strip clubs, and drugs. Well, he looked like he Hollywood, right? Looked like he probably could be in a couple movies, because that sounds as Hollywood as you can get. According to divorce papers obtained by the Post. The papers filed last week by Hunter Biden's soon-to-be ex, Kathleen, offered a sordid peek behind the squeaky clean image of the popular's ex-Veep family. Now, Joe Biden wants to go around and act like he's a family man and he knows better for the country and he knows, man, get out of here with that stuff. Here you are, Joe Biden, when you got family issues yourself. It says his spending rarely relates to legitimate family expenses. but focuses on his travel, at times multiple hotel rooms on the same night. That means he's freaking. Gifts for other women, alcohol, strip club, and other personal indulgences. Kathleen Biden says of Hunter in the papers filed in Washington, D.C. in Superior Court February 23rd. In filing the explosive allegations, Kathleen said, who lives with the youngest of the couple's 3 daughters in the Capitol, is seeking to limit Hunter's, who is 47, to a $5,000 a month allowance. That's not asking for much to me. She is demanding that she and their daughters in turn receive $20,000 a month allowance. Now that's asking much. But hey, if he's an accomplished man and he's making that kind of money, then I guess to each his own. Throughout the party's separation, Mr. Biden has created financial concerns for the family by spending extravagantly on his own interests, including drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, strip clubs, and gifts for women with whom he has sexual relationships with. So I guess I see why she's asking from $5,000 to $20,000 a month. You can spend this money on that. You can spend this money on us, while leaving the family with no funds to pay legitimate bills. But that's what some men do, some jerk men. I got something better and I'm gonna spend my money over there where there's better. I could care less what you go through. Make it out on your own. That's how we are sometimes, dumb as men are. Now I want to see any feminists dump on me because I'm dumping on men like myself. Joe Biden's older son, Delaware Attorney General Beau Biden, died of brain cancer in May 2015 at the age of 46, leaving 2 children and a wife, Haley Biden. 2 months later, Kathleen asked Hunter to leave. Why did she ask him to leave? Because he was doing crazy stuff. It later emerged that Hunter had begun dating Haley, as first reported in Wednesday by Page 6. So here you go. 9 times out of 10, I can't thank for this guy, but he probably knew Beau Biden's wife were vulnerable. She was vulnerable. Oftentimes that happened. Widows are vulnerable. Here he is, the slickster he is. He's finding a way to get into her home. Now he don't have a home. A Biden family spokesperson declined to address whether Hunter's complicated home life contributed to the former vice president's decision not to run. Kathleen legal maneuvers comes after Hunter allegedly blew through $122,000 in just 2 months, her paper says. Meanwhile, he cut back the money he sent to his wife and their kids to $7,500 from $17,000 a month. So he was already paying, he was supposed to pay $17,000 a month. He started paying $7,500 a month. Meanwhile, he cut back the money he sent to his wife and their kids to $7,500 a month from $17,000. That's a big cut, man. So you're gonna not pay your family $10,000? In spite of significantly reducing available funds, Mrs. Biden and the children, Mr. Biden secretly continued to spend lavishly while complaining to Mrs. Biden through counsel about the financial issues of the family and Ms. Biden's spending, the filing said. Kathleen's paper do not name her husband purported paramours. She claimed that if the court doesn't rein in Hunter's spending soon, she and the kids will soon be broke. Hunter has already maxed out available cash advances on his American Express card, and the filings say. And the family is in deep financial hole. They owe $313,970 in taxes, have a double mortgage on their home, and recently bounced 3 checks to a housekeeper, according to the filings. The filing makes reference to a large $80,000 diamond she alleged Hunter was holding on to. When Kathleen tried to get him to put the bauble in the safe deposit box, he claimed he had no longer had it, the filing said. Hunter attorney Sarah Massinelli issued a statement but declined to comment on the allegations. Hunter and Kathleen has been separated for some time and are in the process of finalizing divorce. Girl, that has nothing to do with anything. We already know this. Why this man is not taking care of his responsibility as a man to his family. They always talk about black men not being responsible to their family. What about Joe Biden? What about your sons? I look at this picture down here. Here he is, this man. Here's Bo. All I'm backing up his dad. Yet as soon as Bo passed away, this man hop on his wife. That is disgusting. The boys, Hunter loves and admires Kathleen as a person, a mother, and a friend, and he hopes their privacy can be respected at this time. Dude, you're not respecting your family, so why would you want somebody to respect your privacy? If you're not taking care of your family, then what your admirer, this attorney is just crazy. The attorney can say he loves and admires. If you love and admire him, why don't you pay your bill, man? God, I can't help people do their responsibilities. The boys were just toddlers in 1972 when their mother, Joe Biden's first wife, Nella, and baby sister, Naomi, died in a car accident while out Christmas shopping. That's sad. Bo and Hunter were both critically injured in that crash. Joe Biden had just won election to Delaware U.S. Senate, and Bo attended his father's swearing in 2 weeks later in a wheelchair, his legs still in traction from the crash. Both boys grew up to be lawyers like their father, who went on to marry Dr. Jill Biden, his current wife, when the sons were in grade school. Bo would become Delaware's Attorney General and an Army judge advocate serving in Iraq. Before his brain cancer struck, he had been a contender for a Delaware governor's seat. Meanwhile, Hunter waited until 43 to join the military. I didn't know you could join the military at 43. But his stint in the Navy Reserve ended a year later in 2014 when he tested positive for cocaine. His stint in the Navy Reserve ended a year later in 2014 when he tested positive for cocaine. Now you wonder why Joe Biden was a little lighter on the drug sentences for crack cocaine and allowed them to be a whole lot lighter on cocaine, powder cocaine. Now 9 times out of 10, Hunter was not smoking crack. Probably was snorting cocaine. I'll read this again. But his stint in the Navy Reserve ended in a year later in 2014 when he tested positive for cocaine, the Wall Street Journal reported in some time. So here we are. We got Mr. Lock 'em up. Mr. They're beyond reproach. They're beyond rehabilitation. We got to keep them in jail for the rest of life. I don't care if they stole steaks 3 times. Lock them up. Sure, I helped finance and push this drug war against the urban communities and against the drug cartels. But hey, in actuality, we puppeteering this thing. We're allowing these things to come in this country all kind of ways. And we want this stuff to go into the black community and the urban community because there's a lot of money there. We need to find some way to destroy these people. Now, he may not be saying that literally, but this is what I'm seeing what happened in these communities. If you go look at videos of Bronx in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, thank God they made a bounce back. But we got to go back in here and we got to find some way where we could get in these communities and take it back. Because to me, the drug war and to me, the crime bill was a policy for certain people in government to take back certain land. To take it back, to develop on it, to help prosper the corporate complex, and to help enrich people that are not primarily people of color. You look at all the devastation, go back and look at some of them old footage of the Bronx in the 80s and 90s, and you go look at the Bronx now. Look like two different places. The buildings was being condemned, torn down, and stuff like that. And those buildings were nice buildings at first. But to develop a mindset in that area to help tear down those buildings, that is how powerful the federal government can be in their strategy, or what they call control opposition, their strategy to tear up a community to lift up another community. You look at Harlem right now, it was strictly tearing down that community to lift up another community. Ain't that many black people are being driven out of Harlem because they can't afford to stay there. Chinese people are coming buying up property. The Arabs are buying up the property. Everybody's buying, even Africans are buying up the properties, but believe me, they don't want no black Americans living in that area. And we should be able to buy those properties, but we just ain't got it like that. The wealth gap is too huge. Now, that's one of the reasons why we're calling for reparation, where we can go take back our own neighborhoods and not allow somebody to come in there with money, bulldozers, and some fake politics to take over the area. But let me get back on this. Here's Joe Biden, Mr. Crime, Mr. Lock them up because they're drugs. They're on drugs. They're selling drugs. And they're. Dude, really? Your son got kicked out the military because he tested positive for cocaine. And Hunter named cropped up in the 2015 on the leaker list of users of Ashley Madison, the online dating site for married people. You know Ashley Madison. That's where married people can go out there and get them a freak for the weekend. His name showed up on the leaked list. Oh, Joe Biden and his great kids. You can look down on my people and their children and what they're becoming, predators. And you can't tell me this ain't a predator, man? Get out of here. Hunter is currently a partner in a small investment management firm, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, which has offices in New York and Washington. As recently as December, as he prepared to leave the vice presidency, Joe Biden, 74, declined to rule out a 2020 bid. 4 years is a lifetime in American politics, he told CNN. I think nominees are determined by their parties based mostly on what skill sets is most needed at the time. Now, so looky. Joe Biden's son is a drug user. He is a cocaine user. Probably snort coke. You know, oftentimes when some people are so against something with so much passion, oftentimes it's because they're a victim of it. You know who hate fat people most? Fat people. You know who hate ugly people the most? Ugly people. And believe me, look, I'm not succumbing to nobody's victimhood status. And black people should never be considered themselves as a victim, but they do need to understand that there's somebody that's trying to victimize them. So you only can become a victim if you're being victimized, but if you refuse to let them victimize you, that's a different story. And that's the breed where I'm coming from. I refuse to let you to victimize me. I know who I am, and I know my rights, and I know who I am, and I'm going to stand in that. And here Joe Biden wants to dump on the black community or the urban community with this drug war, go on CNN at that, and just talk trash about us like a dog when his own son is a cocaine user. Now, I don't know the story about Bo Biden, but there's another story about another Biden. All right, so this is from Vanity Fair. Parties and pot. Ashley Biden was a hot party girl. All right, here's another Biden messing with these drugs. Another day, another set of depressing stories highlighting the fertility and destructiveness of America's drug policy. First, we have the saga of Ashley Biden, 27-year-old daughter of Vice President Joe Biden. A friend attempted to sell a hidden camera video allegedly showing Ashley snorting cocaine, but instead coughing up the report asking the price of $2 million for a 43-minute video. Man, let me tell you something. If I had that video, man, I'll be asking for $2 million too. I think he lowballing it. The New York Post watched 90 seconds of it and reported of its contents. That in turn led to the news that a decade ago, Ashley had been arrested for marijuana possession in New Orleans. You got the nerves to down-talk black people in the black community about drugs, Joe? You're going to develop this bill that primarily targets my people because you hate the drug dealer and the drug user, and they're out to get your mother, as you would say, and your family. When all along, you got two people in your family that's tied up to drugs. Somebody need to do a drug test on you, Joe. Do they do drug tests on people? Politicians? I think every politician in Washington, D.C. need to take a yearly drug test independently, not government-led, and report on that drug test. Every last one of them. All this time, you're going to talk about the black community and how the kids are predators, and we got to lock them up. We got to get them off the street. And here you are, your daughter of all people, your daughter, your baby girl, has been alleged, caught on camera, snorting it up. Joe Biden. Let's keep going. I, for one, am outraged. Not because the 17-year-old daughter of a senator may have smoked pot, or because the 27-year-old daughter of a vice president may have snorted cocaine. Does that really surprise anybody? I'm outraged that our adolescent approach to drug prohibition gives the bottom feeders reason to believe that they can make millions of dollars exposing marginally public person recreational habits. I'm outraged because the hypocritical stance toward drugs keep us from evolving past the same ridiculous cycle every time a notable person gets busted. Exposure, accusation, confession, penance. What never gets brought up is that some substantial percentage of the people clucking in disappointment are users of illegal drugs and is doing drugs wrong and is getting caught. That makes you a bad person. I'm outraged because this never gets brought up in these routine public shaming narratives. The cartel brings in billions of dollars more than the Mexican government spends to defeat them. And they spend their wealth to bolster their rankings with an untold number of politicians, judges, prison guards, and police officers. So many police officers, in fact, that entire focus forces in cities across Mexico has been disbanded and rebuilt. Now, I'm not going to go through this article, but you can look it up yourself. He said if the video really does show Ashley Biden using cocaine, then she broke the law. She also contributed, however unwillingly, to the wrongful side of a violent war raging across our southern borders. So have you. If you've done any illegal drugs in recent years, President Obama may laugh, but the law is the problem. Changing it would deprive bad people around the world of massive profit, or at least bringing it into mainstream. The reason I'm doing this video because Biden can't talk about family values without representing family values. Now, it hurts me to my heart that Biden lost his son and he lost his wife, first wife. I lost my son. I know what it feels. I lost two wives. They ain't dead. We just divorced. But the bottom line is, Joe, your crime bill sucked. It needed to be totally overturned and restructured. Bernie says he's going to do that. Like I said, I don't trust any politician. But if he get elected, we got to hold his feet to the fire. I mean, really hold his feet to the fire. This mess cannot happen again. And for you, you knew that most black people, most Hispanic people are not, Latinos are not on the high, expensive drug tip. but yet you somehow allowed it to be pushed that the sentences still be harsher for cheaper drugs than it is for more expensive drugs. And I wonder why. Maybe the reason why is because your daughter has been accused and allegedly on video of snorting cocaine. Your son tested positive and got kicked out of the military for snorting cocaine. I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but he snorted on cocaine. So you got two alleged drug users in your family that are that use drugs. One just goes to the next level. Both of them are party people. He loved to spend women. He loved to get these prostitutes and everything and cheat on his wife and don't pay her the money that her and her family deserve. He takes it to the extreme. Not only am I a dope head, I am a philanderer and a cheater, and I don't take care of my family. I'm going to give him whatever I feel like giving it to him. This is your family, Joe. And like I said, we don't know Bo's history. God rest his soul. We don't know if he was involved in drugs or not. We don't even know if you're involved with drugs. I mean, people think, well, he's the vice president, he don't do drugs. We don't know what people do. That's why I say every politician, every person running for office should take a drug test. Every person in office should take a drug test at least once a month. All I can say is very hypocritical of you, Joe, to talk about so-called super predators when you got at least one of them in your family, and that's your surviving son. Let's go. One more thing discussed me before this family, and I hate to say it. Vanity Fair. Again, Joe Biden's son, Joe Biden's daughter-in-law. Not the daughter-in-law because that's his wife. This is Bo Biden's wife. Now, this guy right here is probably just as narcissist, just as cocky and arrogant as Joe. His wife threw him out the house for his philandering and cheating, not taking care of financial business at home. He decides to cut her off, take $10,000 and put it in his pocket and give her $7,000 versus $17,000 a month to pay household expenses and support. He takes the other $10,000 that he normally gives to his ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife. God knows what he's doing with that $10,000. Here is Bo Biden's wife, who pretty much loved Bo and is a widow. And this guy go in and overly consoles her to the point they end up dating her. Less than a week after Joe Biden formally announced his presidential run, one of the most potentially awkward aspects of his family history, perhaps even more awkward than his predilection for over enthusiastically hugging. Hey, don't forget about the snorting cocaine by his kids. Appears to have resolved itself. Page 6 reports that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, has split up with Haley Biden. Man, they broke up. What's the big deal? The widow of Hunter's late brother, Bo. Ending a 2-year-long relationship that began after Bo died of brain cancer. Ending a 2-year relation. Now, my question is, who said this didn't start it before Bo died? After Bo died. This could have been going on while Bo was alive. This could have got close during the whole time Bo was in the hospital trying to fight this thing. Then again, this could have went on way before. It's disgusting, man. I mean, I thought John Edwards was bad. Him cheating on with this reporter, the woman who was on the trail covering his campaign, you know, doing the scandal thing, Elizabeth Pope type thing. Your wife got cancer, dog. You can't wait till she leaves this earth. You got to put her through more pain by being in an affair and getting a woman pregnant at that. Not enough, the whole thing is sick. Ain't no, you can't wait. This should not be happening, dude. And here we are. We got Beau Biden's brother and Beau Biden's wife in an affair, in a relationship. Can't say it was a affair if it happened. Well, it's a affair because at this time, Hunter Biden was not divorced. But during this time, 2-year-long relationship that began after Beau died. Who said it began after Beau died? This could have been happening during the cancer fight, maybe before. The devastating loss of Beau, the charismatic Attorney General of Delaware and rising star in the Democratic Party, was perhaps the foremost reason that Joe Biden decided not to run for office in 2016, despite overwhelming popularity and Beau's report of encouragement. Hunter and Haley became an item slightly less than 2 years later, apparently with Biden's parents' approval. What? Hunter and Haley. Again, Hunter is getting it on with his brother's wife. And they're claiming, apparently, with Biden's parent approval. Please don't tell me that. Biden, you don't approve of this man leaving his wife to go be with your son, wife? And while Hunter was separated from his wife, we're all lucky that Hunter and Haley found each other as they were putting their lives together after such sadness, says Biden. This is some sick stuff. We're all lucky that Hunter and Haley found each other. No, what you need to be doing, Joe, is telling Hunter you need to go take care of your wife. Your wife didn't leave you. You the one started cheating on your wife. You the one started partying and doing the drugs and getting all these other women off Ashley Madison. What you think he gonna do to Haley? Haley is just coming from the devastation of her husband dying of cancer, and you get this player, this playboy, taking advantage of her emotion. You saying we glad they found each other, and you're giving them seal of approval. No, he need to carry his butt back home to his original wife, who never planned on getting rid of him. Stop being, let me watch my words, out there laying up and sleeping with all these women while he was married and taking the money from the family to pay for all these prostitutes. And then he see a widowed, lonely woman, beautiful woman. Oh, that's sexist, right? Yeah, forget y'all. And go take advantage of her in her most vulnerable needs. That is what you call a predator. That is what you call a vulture. And you're going to give him the seal of approval and tell him to go back home to your wife and leave her alone. Let her get through this herself. I'll let the family handle that. You stay out of that. What you did was cause tension between your wife and her when she should have been there to help her get through this mess. No, you had to stick your butt in there, Mr. Hunter. You're Hunter, all right. Can't believe Joe Biden them said this. We're lucky that Hunter and Haley found each other as they were putting their lives together again after such sadness. They have mine and Jill's full and complete support, and we're happy for them. Oh. You got the nerves. You got the mitigative gall to go before the Senate floor on C-SPAN and talk down the Black community, the Latino community, and urban communities in their struggle to weave through this onslaught of drugs that you dumped on top of it with the approval of the government. We're trying to find our way to overcome it and keep what we have in that community. Yeah, at the same time, you're going to use the crime bill to help move us out of that community so it can be regentrified. And people got the nerve to look at us And here you got the vice president giving the seal of approval for his son to divorce his wife and get with his other son's wife. What kind of sick mess is that, man? So if they have kids, cousins are really brothers? This is disgusting, man. The president is doing this. And you telling me, bad enough you're feeling and kissing on all these old ladies and little kids like they're your girlfriend. And then at the same time, you got him trying to discount the fact that this he makes no mistake and he gonna come down hard on Anita Hill and give them approval to say whatever they want to say to her. Then you're gonna talk this trash about the urban community, and then you're gonna push this crime bill and yet you're gonna give the seal of approval for your son to be with his to finalize his divorce with his wife, tearing up that entire family because they got kids, and go be with your other son's wife. They have minds in jail full approval and complete support, and we're happy for them. It's unclear what caused the split. Sources describe the breakup as a private family matter, but admissible. Hunter's ex-wife, when you're in the line like that, you don't have no private family. When you decide to be a public servant, you decide that your whole entire family end up automatically defaulting to be public family. It's unclear what caused the split. Sources describe the breakup as a private family matter, but admissible. Hunter's ex-wife and the mother of his 3 kids, Kathleen, whom he divorced in 2017, I guess they are divorced, is reportedly thriving and looking better than ever and back on the dating scene. Guess so. He's not trying to come fix that relationship. But do that still mean he need to go be with his brother's wife? They have kids. Let's say they have kids. Then brothers and cousins are the same thing, man. That's wrong, man. It's not right. Though Biden the elder was and remains the likely front runner in 2020 of the Democratic Party, he actually not. And if you look at the vote, you look at the polling and look at how they're polling, he is not the front runner. Bernie Sanders is. Rumors swirled for months that he might decline to run, in part because of various family dramas. Hunter Biden was discharged from the military after testing positive for cocaine. He already received a waiver for his previous drug-related incident. Which means this is more than one. So you got a cocaine snorting son, cocaine snorting, maybe selling daughter. I don't know about, I'm not sure about the selling, but at least cocaine snorting daughter. So you got a cocaine snorting, you got a drug using daughter, a drug using, a serial prostituting, it's just bad. It's not good. He'd already, and in a court filing during divorce proceeding, Hunter's ex-wife claimed he was spending extravagantly on his own interests, including drugs, alcohols, and prostitutes, strip clubs, and gifts for women whom he had sexual relationship. We went through this. The former couple agreed to settle the divorce in private. Biden allies and Democratic insider also fear that Hunter's former position on the board of Ukraine gas company with ties in the oligarch to former President Viktor Yanukovych would be scrutinized. So again, on top of that, they're gonna holler Russian collusion, and he's gonna talk about Trump and Russia when his son, the same dude, sat on the board of a Ukrainian gas company that ties to an oligarch and former president of Russia. None of which it seemed was Hunter Biden's intent. It doesn't matter, dude. You know how some people are both blank ups and earnest at the same time? That's how Hunter is. He's not a bad guy at all. A former colleague of Hunter told my colleague Chris earlier this year. Back in January, Hunter told Smith that he didn't expect his past to factor into his father's decision. My father has been a constant source of love and strength in my life. Even though my life has been played out in the media because I am a Biden, my father never once suggested that the family public profile should be my priority, he wrote. Guys, Do you think this is a good look for Biden and his entire family? Because you know, if Biden becomes president, that whole family goes into that presidency, period. I don't understand why people say this is a private. You can't have a private anything if you decide to become a public servant. That is not your job, it is who you are. You are a public servant. So privatizing, trying to make your family life private isn't gonna work because it's tied to you, the public official. So much that you want to make it private is not private. The fact of the matter is, Joe Biden, not only are you too aggressively touchy with people, and you got to watch your boundaries. And I understand, look, I'm a hugger. I love hugging people. So I have to watch how I hug and how I touch people. I'll hug you now, but that hug ain't gonna be too long. And you got to want the hug. You know, I'm the guy that normally goes in the Union Square with the sign say free hug and looking for people who just need a hug, because some people therapeutically need a hug. A hug does wonders for you. But this rubbing the hair and the sniffing the hair and leaning in and getting in the ear and all that kind of stuff, nah, that's a little too far. Bad enough you got that. Bad enough you got a historic past of white supremacy. Bad enough you got that. A white supremacy legislation. If you don't know what white supremacy legislation, that's legislation that suppresses communities, not lift them up. You got a record of that. Not only did you push the drug war and became a premier advertiser for that war, which was designed to dump drugs on the entire urban community with the sole purpose of taking it back, in my opinion, to drive people out of that community and take them back. A lot of people left because these communities was devastated and they want to raise their kids in these devastated communities. All to get people to leave so you can come up, clean it up, put up high-rise apartments and make a ton of money. Nobody's dumb. Yet you're going to call these people who live in these communities predators, drug addicts and all that kind of stuff, and they're beyond reproach, beyond rehabilitation, and you never took the time out to take a look at your family. I say take a look at you. Because for me to see that your family is going through this makes me wonder about you. I get it. It hurts to lose a child. You saw right away your family became public when you became public. 30, 40 years later. And your family is still public. This time as drug users. Philanderer. Cheater, don't take care of his household. The same thing that you and your buddies in Congress said about the black man. The father. Where are the fathers? Well, they're not taking care of their children. Now, one thing about Hunter is he work. See, when your dad is Joe Biden, you'll be able to get a job. Ask Meghan McCain. It don't matter how much you suck at what you do, you'll be able to find a position. Shame on Joe Biden to be oppressing a community with these dumb policies that he do not regret. He do not look as a mistake. Shame on him dumping on Anita Hill and her allegations of so-called what she did to entice Judge Thomas, when your son is going out there enticing his brother's wife. And if he's a partier, if he's a drug addict, and if he takes his money away from his family and spend it on prostitutes, Joe, don't you know he's going to do this to this lady who is a widow, who already is probably hurting from her losing her husband? We approve of this, though. Oh, God. And y'all want to vote for this guy. To each his own. Like I said, you got a freedom of choice. Do whatever you want to do. This man has given the seal of approval. Now, they broke up and they need to break up. And who knows why? Maybe Joe told them that, yo, you guys got to break up because this stuff is going to come back and hit me. So this could have came from Joe's advisors or whatever, because this stuff is going to come back and hit me. It's going to hit you anyway, Joe, because people like me and other people is going to tell the truth about stories like this. Your family, beautiful as they may in stature, but morally is not right. Your son need to fix this mess. Me, personally, son need to go back home to his wife and kids and be the father that he's supposed to be. Take care of that family, take care of his wife. Mind you, I never read anything that his wife didn't love him and didn't want to be with him. She just fed up with his mess of going out there whoring around, spending family money on these prostitutes and buying them gifts, and here I am, I'm raising your kids, and what have you done for me? When the last time you took me to multiple hotels? When you tell your family to get it together, when you tell your family that you have no time for this, that you have no sympathy, I have no sympathy for this either, Joe. Get your family in order, man. Get your family in order before you try to get this country in order. I have no sympathy. You know, he said that about progressive. Oh, they talking about they got it tough. I got no sympathy for them. We've had it tough. Until you get your true family affairs in order, forget about running this country. Matter of fact, forget about running this country, period. Hey, thank you for watching that episode of The Rob Report. Before you go now, I need you to do two things for me. First thing, I want you to like the video if you liked it. Second thing, I want you to share it all across social media. And if you have not subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button right now. Stop and do it. As Jimmy Dore says, sometimes you think you're subscribed or you go check and find out you're not subscribed. So make sure you check that you're subscribed and hit the notification bell. That'll let you know when I put a new content out. I'm not a fan of Super Chat, so if you plan on giving to the efforts of Bob TV, make sure you do that too. Bob TV NYC at paypal.me. Anybody who want to have free access to my Patreon channel, I'm trying to save you money on your cable bill. I ran into a program that I think everybody need, everybody can afford, and everybody should have, and that link is down there below. 5,000 plus channel, best sports package, and the best premium TV and even international channels, and you can access this all over the world. Go ahead and check that out, get your free trial, and if you decide to support, become members of those two services, we'll go ahead and give you full access to the Patreon channel, and there's no cost to it. So my name is Robert Brown with The Rob Report. Thank you for watching. I'll holler at you later. Peace.